welcome in our guy Tom Murphy into the program now and touch on again the piece that he wrote on the Arkansas Democrat Gazette and Whole Hog Sports about his conversation with Hunter Yurachek. Tom, also want to get your take on Trey Williams coming up as well, but you spoke with Hunter, and he said there's not a timeline on a new contract with Pittman. Based on your conversation, do you expect this deal to get done after the bowl game?
I would think that Sam would be this week. They're starting in true Penn State mode, and if there's anything for Jimmy Sexton to tell him, I'm sure he can get through. But I don't know. He probably doesn't want that part of it to be a distraction. So in his world, I would think that after the bowl would be a more prime time to do this. Yeah.
He said that him and Sexton in your piece, Tom, are not exactly 100% on the same page, which they're just trying to negotiate and get back and forth. Is there any, in your opinion, is there any of the old verbiage in the previous contract that Judy Henry got done? Do you think there's going to be any incentive base? That's not typically a Jimmy Sexton MO, but can you see any of that old stuff making its way to the new contract, or is that just is that wishful thinking with Sexton now as his agent?
Well, I would think this. I would think that everything's up in the air because we already know that Sam Pittman is not your ordinary coach. And when he says that, hey, it's not all about the money, well, but you do want to be compensated on a level you feel is, on your par on what you've achieved. Now, to me, that's not what Lane Kiffin has achieved. Lane Kiffin has a much better record. They have 10 wins this season, and Sam Pittman is 11-11. And Lane Kiffin's, I want to say, starts at 7.2, and it has escalators in it, in addition to incentives. And this is a Jimmy Sexton negotiated contract. So my assumption would be there would be plenty of incentives for bowl games, the tiers of bowls, for making the SEC championship game, winning it, national championship, winning it. And then I would think that there's some incentives for, possibly graduation rates, student achievement in your program and things like that. And now, I guess you're asking, do I think the clause about the buyout would be in there? If Hunter's pretty forward about this, pretty adamant. If you don't have a 500 record, why do you deserve to have the full buyout? So I would suspect there's going to be some give and take, that Sam might get a little bit more front end in it, and then if let's just say, for instance, they go 5-7 this year, then and lose the bowl, go 5-7, then he's 3 games below 500 at that point, and then let's just say he starts having 6-6 records, then he's never gotten above 500. That's Hunter Yurachek would want there to be less of a buyout at that point, and I get that. And if Jimmy Sexton has a strong pushback against that, Hunter Yurachek could say, well, we had your client, Chad Morris, here, and, we paid a massive buyout for him. So it's just going to be give and take, negotiations. There'll be incentives. There'll be clauses. And I would like to see, personally, as a fan of the sport, and this doesn't apply to this negotiation, I think all over, I think there ought to be more clauses about buyouts being less than what it is, or reduced buyouts from the school's end, because it's created an unbelievable amount of leverage. And I think Brett Bielema's buyout was huge, poor negotiation there, and Chad Morris's was huge, and then you could name countless others across the country.
Yeah, and the buyout language is sometimes more important than the number of dollars you're getting paid over a number of years that are in the contract. But Tom, to me, $7 million feels like 10-win money at a program that doesn't expect $10 million every year when you compare it to Napier and Venables and maybe even to Lane Kiffin. Those are programs that either have won 10 or expect to win 10 on a regular basis. I don't think Arkansas falls into either of those categories. To me, the top end should be 7 when you win 10, and if you do, hey, we'll renegotiate again.
That would be my take, but I mean, it's a delicate deal. Arkansas does have some negotiating points in that Sam has publicly stated on the record he doesn't want any other job. So your response could be like, well, it won't be. We can't pay you $7 million. Where would you go at this point? He's under contract. So I don't know. I just hope that it's a reasonable amount. I hope that people's feelings and anything isn't stirred up, long-seated resentment or anything like that. But he does deserve the raise. I mean, look,
no
3.75 just isn't the going rate now. Somewhere between 5 and 6 would make sense. If it's around 6, I get it. But this is going to be a very, very interesting negotiation for Hunter Yurachek. But, sitting with him, there's just a sense of ease about the way he does. I mean, the way he communicates with people, I would think would carry over to every coach on the campus talks about their respect for him. When you win 10 championships in not only the 2021 academic year, but also the 2021, calendar year, you're doing something right. Your coaches are relatively happy. I mean, he brought up that Colby Hell, the soccer coach. It's time to talk to him. He's had such great success. So I suspect it'll get done, and hopefully soon in January we'll see the results of their negotiation.
And what cannot get lost in the conversation, or completely lost, is the risk that Hunter Yurachek took on hiring Sam Pittman. I mean, a couple of years ago, Sam was a completely unknown quantity as a head coach, only known as a offensive line coach. Tom, I don't know how you calculate that into a contract negotiation, but that would also be on my bullet points list if I'm Hunter Yurachek. Is listen, it's paid off, but the university took a tremendous risk in hiring Sam Pittman, and it has paid off for both sides.
It has, and he fits Arkansas. And if you were to say, is he a candidate, at Kansas or just somewhere nearby one day, doesn't fit quite the same. He is the fit at Arkansas. He's professed his love for the state and so on. So, yeah, I think you're right. I do think that's a negotiating point for Hunter Yurachek. But also I think in here is the assistant coach pay, because Arkansas was lagging behind. Now, Barry Odom was legit. I mean, when you get interest from Texas and LSU, and you gotta step up to the plate, and they've done that. But it might even need to be more. And honestly, some of these guys who are kicking it in recruiting, Jimmy Smith, Cody Kennedy has done well. Sam Carter has done very well in recruiting. I mean, I think the Sam Pittman's negotiating point would be let's get our staff up closer to the median or on the higher side in the SEC, and you don't want to see this staff coming apart. Even though we know that there's going to be guys who want head coaching jobs and so on, or position coaches who have their eyes on being a coordinator at some point. But it looks to me like they could go into 2022 with a lot higher percentage, possibly all of their assistant coaches, as compared to last year. And I think he likes them as recruiters. I think he likes their energy. I think Michael Scherer has been a great addition at linebackers coach, and he did a good job bringing in guys. Kenny Guyton did a good job. So even though you can look at the losses on this roster and say, they're going to have to pick it up. I mean, where's the top-end receiver going to be? Where are they going to find some pass rushing help? You just feel like they're going to make some good decisions in the portal and just through player development. Guys like Eric Gregory, have an excellent chance, and Zach Williams in this bowl game to step up now with Trey Williams out. And there's a good vibe about what the coaching staff looks like right now.
Tom Murphy, Whole Hog Sports, Arkansas Democrat Gazette, with us here on the Morning Rush. Trey, with the other big news football-wise, Tom, over the weekend was Trey Williams and the whole DWI stuff, and then he opts out of the bowl game on Sunday. And Tom and I believe it's just kind of to save face, because I don't think Pittman would have let him play. This guy has 6 of your 22 sacks. He's easily your best pass rusher. Tom, how much, and I know Penn State had a linebacker, Brandon Smith, opt out as well. How much does this opt-out for Arkansas affect this defense against Sean Clifford and company and Dotson in this bowl game?
Well, I think it's a pretty big deal when you when you're easily the sack leader on your team, by double over a linebacker. So Arkansas will be without a true difference maker at receiver and a true difference maker at defensive end. That's a big deal. But as I just mentioned, Eric Gregory will get a chance, Zach Williams, and there's some other guys who are going to have increased snaps. And I think they seem to be pretty excited about what their scheme is, hearing Sam Pittman talk, to try to limit them. And, Sean Clifford in the pass game, the teams that have just decided they're going to pass, Arkansas had great pass defense numbers early in the year, but the ones who said, we're going to do it and when we want, Auburn had success in the air. Alabama clearly did. Missouri not so much, but Ole Miss passed on them. So I think it's going to make an impact on the game, and I think they might have to send some linebackers and things like that. Well, we'll see how it plays out, but I think Penn State is a favorite in this game, and it makes sense to me.
We had some bowl games start this past weekend, but I would say the biggest college football story came out of Auburn, Alabama, with Bo Nix announcing that he's heading out to Eugene to play for the Ducks, and I think it's Kenny Dillingham, his old offensive coordinator as a true freshman in 2019. That's now the OC out there with Oregon with Dan Lanning. How does that change kind of the Pac-12, and what's that going to do for Auburn, which is just kind of sitting there with T.J. Finley is really, I think, one of the few scholarship quarterbacks on that roster?
Well, Auburn closed with a great recruiting class. So I'm sure they're going to find a competent quarterback. And doggone, T.J. Finley almost engineered an upset over Alabama. And we saw what Alabama did to Georgia. So I think Auburn will be okay. It's just amazing to me that the team that Nix beat as a true freshman, his first game, now has him. But both teams have had regime changes, and that was, 3 seasons ago or 2 seasons ago. I guess he's a true junior. So I don't know. I guess he felt less wanted by the Auburn people. I mean, when your dad was a quarterback there and you're a legacy, that's a big, big deal to leave a program. So, but I think Auburn will wind up being just like regular Auburn. They had a bit of a down year, but when you're in the SEC West, 1 or 2 programs are going to lose several more games than they anticipated, and a couple are going to lose, a couple more than they anticipated. That's just the way it is. Arkansas has been on that bottom end for a while, and then when Arkansas wins a few games and Ole Miss does, someone else is going to suffer. And there's just no getting away from the fact that every program in that division spends money in recruiting, in development, and on coaches and assistant coaches, and they all expect to win, and there's no other division in any conference that compares.
Tom, we appreciate you joining us this morning. Great story again, getting the information from Hunter Yurachek that you can find there on Whole Hog Sports and the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. No show on the Thursday, so we'll have a Merry Christmas, buddy, okay?
Sounds great. Y'all too, and thanks for the heads up. See y'all.
All right, Tom Murphy with us.
BetOnline has you covered for all the holiday season. More props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your #1 spot for all sports action. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus with the promo code BELIEVE to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV to receive your bonus. And it's not just football. BetOnline has pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, even your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all these amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports.